Serious, what is a missed opportunity that you regret not taking to this day? In the 4th grade, Jack, a classmate, offered $20 for my bag of chips. I said no. He had $20 in hand, ready to give it up. Huge regret, I could bought so many more bags of chips with that. My best friends in middle school wanted to form a band. I wasn't great at singing, but loved it and they wanted me to be lead. I was too shy and said no. They formed the band and played out of a garage throughout high school. It's been 25 years, and they still play together. They easily book local gigs, but mainly do it for fun. They both have careers outside of music. But the thing I regret most about not joining is the bond that they formed without me. I lost touch with them after high school and tried to reconnect after grad school. They are still really close, but that tight relationship I had with them is gone. I miss that. As I started reading this, I thought for sure you were going to end with and today they're called Maroon 5 or some crap lol. Asking out that sweet, cute girl who hit on me while I was working at Blockbuster. She caught me off guard, so I planned to ask her next time she came in. Never saw her again. I felt that one on a spiritual level, bro. My mom was very overprotective of us kids, so I have a lot, but I'll just mention the biggest two. I wish I said frick it and applied to the college of my choosing. I knew I wasn't going to attend even if I got in, but I would have liked to know if I was good enough to get into art school. I also wish I pushed back against my mom's limits a bit more in high school and hung out with my friends when they offered. I look back now and I really feel like I missed out on a lot. Heck, even in college I wish I went to hang out with friends before COVID. Yes, this is the reason I moved out in my mid-20s. My parents still treated me like a child. I definitely didn't do all the typical social things during high school and college, and even right out of college. I definitely regret that. I started mining Ethereum and Bitcoin years ago, but calculated my electricity and hardware costs were higher than I was earning. Every day is a struggle against suicide. Had a friend tell me to invest $100 into BTC when it was a quarter per coin. I said that's freaking stupid. I'm in school. $100 on this bulls is the worst option. I'd be a freaking billionaire. My parents sent me to this camp for weight loss in 9th grade, and I lost like 50 pounds over the summer. But my self-esteem was too low and I ate my feelings and gained all and some more back. Now I have to start from scratch 7 years later. Every time I'll lose a significant amount of weight, I promise myself I will not gain it back. I always end up gaining it back. At the stage right now where I'm starting to see the number on the scale go back up, so I'm fighting to keep the weight off. Good luck to you. You can do this. I was studying for an exam with a girl from high school. We were on the floor. She had a pillow underneath her, and I pulled it out to lay on. She told me she would give me a kiss if I gave it back to her, so I hit her in the face with the pillow and tossed it to her. I was a 1990s Casanova. She was beautiful and I was aware that she liked me, but I just choked. I'm happily married, but 20+ years later I see her on Facebook and wonder what would have happened if I just started kissing her. That was destiny saving your butt, keeping you on the proper path, and hence your current happy marriage of over 2 decades. Had a total George Costanza moment. Went on a date with a girl and took her back to her apartment. When we got there she said her roommate wasn't there and asked if I wanted to come up for coffee. I said something along the lines of no thanks, I don't like coffee. She seemed put off. We said our goodbyes, and she went up to her apartment. I was halfway home when it hit me. I'm in this post, and I don't like it. Asking a girl out I like to this day. Sad part is, I don't have any contact with her anymore, even though it's been half a year since we last saw each other. That was in school. Almost every guy has the one who got away. Had the opportunity to do a month-long language school program in Japan, living with a Japanese family during it. I decided to save that money and instead do a whole exchange year at a Japanese university. Language school was in January 2020. Needless to say, I couldn't do my exchange year. There was a girl that I was super into back in 2014. Absolutely the most beautiful girl I'd ever known. As it turns out, She was into me as well and she kept dropping major hints that she was into me. I was shy and oblivious to every sign she threw at me. The signs were super obvious and her sister told me years later that she was practically begging for me to talk to her at a party we both went to. That New Year, she was killed by a drunk driver. Absolutely destroyed me for a good 2 years or so. If you can see me, Hannah, I miss you and I'm sorry I'm such an idiot. Dude, what a story. Horrible. Not your fault obviously. R.I.P. Hannah. Love that name too. In high school, I was a part of what ended up becoming one of the most successful WoW guilds of all time. A bulk of the original raiding group used their position as a raider in a said guild to get careers in and around gaming. A few of the folks work for Blizzard, a few work at Twitch, some at Valve, and a bunch of other places as well. I ended up quitting the guild in game to focus on high school. I had a second chance on graduating when one of my old guild mates straight up offered me a QA job at Blizzard, which is where he started and had worked his way up, but I declined because my parents didn't believe in the opportunity. I live a decent enough life now. It's been well over a decade since these options were available to me, but sometimes I wonder. I see the names for some of my old guild mates here and there, and remember when we were just dumb high school and college kids shitposting in RNG while raiding MC, and I wonder if I could have ended up in one of those positions. I had an opportunity similar. I got an offer from Monster Energy for a sponsorship for an esports team before they really got started. I just became a father and couldn't give that much of my time up. I was the only one working at that time and had to support my new family, so I declined the offer. I look back and wonder if we could have managed it if I just took the leap. Seeing Dave Chappelle perform stand-up for an audience of 40-ish people before he made his big comeback. I just started a new job and thought I should get to bed early on a Tuesday. Regretted it ever since. I'm all for getting enough sleep, especially as I've gotten older. I don't have the same sense of missing out on living by not staying up super late, because I realized that I was just taking happiness from the next day to play yet another 20 round of Shogun 2 or something, but I'll be goddamned if that is not a perfect excuse to miss some sleep. In 1987, at 18 years of age, I auditioned for and was offered a scholarship to an acting studio in NYC. They required me to take classes and put in 25-30 hours of sweat equity building sets and other things needed for the production of plays. They didn't offer room and board, so I would have needed to also get a job to cover those costs. TBH, I was afraid to take that big of a risk. IDK how things would have played out had I taken the offer. Maybe I would have become a highly respected actor. Maybe I would have ended up waiting tables, chasing the dream for the rest of my life. But it is that not knowing that makes me wish I had more confidence in myself. I ended up going into the army and serving for 6 years until I was injured in the line of duty and given a medical discharge and retirement. If it's any consolation, unpaid work always sounds like exploitation to me. I've never seen someone become respected in a role where you're treated as a dreg. Sorry to hear about your injury and hope that you're doing okay. I had an opportunity to buy a small house on a 2.5 acre lot for $160,000. The house was an absolute dump and the land was between an abandoned grain elevator and an abandoned factory. I tried to convince my wife that the writing was in the wall that it was going to be the next area in Denver to have a real estate explosion, but we decided the risk was too great. It sold to a developer last year for over $8 million. I have a very similar experience. My wife talked me out of buying 30+ acres of land for just over $300,000. It was just sold to developers for an ungodly amount of money. I sometimes stand above her at night with a pillow in my hand. I love her but frick. There was this cute girl who sat next to me in microbiology lecture in college. We were the same fairly narrow major, so we had shared interests and goals associated with that. One morning, we were talking and she brought up a movie that was coming out to the local theater. She went on and on about the movie for the 10 minutes we were sitting there before class started. I didn't realize until after I'd headed to my next class that she was probably trying to set me up to ask her out. A girl asked me out to the Valentine's dance in middle school. I panicked and said I was with someone else when I wasn't. I still regret it to this day. I jumped out of a famous music school in Sweden. I was a top student and I studied drums. Now I'm an unemployed failure. Still not too late to join former band Welcome in the world of unemployed failures, by the way, D. In my graduate school, they connect you with an alumni to be your mentor. This was 1996 to 1997. My alumni mentor had recently founded a company and got me an interview there. I was not excited about it. Some website where people sold their stupid beanie babies. I passed on my shot to be something like the 20th employee of eBay. I had the option of buying 200 bitcoins when they were about 4 cents each. Decided not to and still hurting to this day. When Bitcoin was worth 4 cents each, you could get a couple thousands by just running your PC for a night. A job with General Dynamics as a welder. I had just gotten back from Iraq and got out of the army within 3 months. I forgot I had applied to a GD position in Qatar. I had been out a month or so. I had gotten kinda settled back home in Illinois and landed a welding job here when they called and offered to fly me back to Washington to test for the job, and if all goes smooth I'd be back in Kuwait in a month. I was not ready to pack my life up again, so I declined. I regret it cause it could have been an awesome experience to work on the civ side there and the doors it could have opened, but happy I didn't cause frick that crap. Civilian life will always be better. No worries bro. Typing this from my welding class fresh out of the Marines. I joined a local band when I lived in Vegas, but I found out dude sold drugs too, so I left. I love music and playing it, so I wonder what would have happened if I stuck with it. Dude was a killer guitarist and screamer. Taking a job offer. I was very in my own head and convinced I would land my absolute dream job straight out of college. I turned down a job offer for a position that had the potential for a ton of growth and would give me great experience to add to my resume only because it wasn't exactly what I envisioned myself doing long term. Now I'm still in a dead-end job and feeling more discouraged by the day. Every time I have ever done anything in stocks, the market immediately and unforeseeably moves in the opposite direction. I first started last year and got super hyped when I made some money on Tesla. I decided to take out my gains the day before it absolutely blew up, which would have net me hundreds of extra dollars in pure profit. Just 2 days ago I took a bunch of money out of Bitcoin because it wasn't growing as fast as I wanted it to and put it into altcoins which were going much faster. The day after I did that, every altcoin went under and I lost like $300. Then today Bitcoin surged 14% after Musk said he bought a bunch. That would have been hundreds more profit for me. So basically my missed opportunity is never getting into the fricking stock market. There are a fair number of people I regret not sleeping with because I was brought up in an evangelical Christian church that made sex this dirty, shameful thing. I got out, but it still fricked with my perception of myself, my sexuality for a long time afterwards. I grew up in a fanatic Bible thumping church and feel the same way. I wanted to so bad, but the fear of burning in heck held me back. Many of my relationships were ruined from it. My own fault. I would say I wanted to and backed out at the last minute, like naked and putting on the condom last minute. My boyfriends would be disappointed but so sweet about it. Poor guys lol. I was an all-star in Little League Baseball. I constantly had to be moved up to higher ages because of how strongly I dominated the competition. The last recreational league I played in, I was 13 years old, playing with high school seniors. I got very irritated though, because I wasn't dominant. I was just average. I never took into account that I was also 5 years younger than all the other players. My dad, multiple other coaches, and family friends told my parents to enroll me in the public school system so that I could play baseball for the school team and possibly get scouted by some colleges. It would have given me an open road to the pros. My dad kept me in a private school where I started to play basketball and stopped playing baseball. I never played baseball again. I've had multiple people tell me that I would have walked into the pros without a problem because I was so good at the sport. Unfortunately, I stopped playing. If I could go back, I would beg my parents to enroll me in the public school so I could play baseball and actually continue playing it. It would have helped me get better, and I would probably be a professional athlete today. Not having enough nerve to kiss the girl next door. We were just hanging out. sitting on a bench by the river with the city skyline in front of us on a warm summer night. I think she was receptive and I just didn't. Still think about it 35 years later. I would have probably had a lot more friends, and of better quality, in high school if I was willing to just initiate things socially with other people, rather than just trying to seem mysteriously cool so people would come to me. I asked my father what his biggest regrets in life are, and he told me he had the opportunity to see the Ramones in concert while he was in college. He didn't know who they were at the time, so he got in his car and drove home. When I was a kid I was in the Brownies Club. There was an acting thing. My social anxiety was just starting to peak back then. Anyway, I got comfortable with my group and devised this whole skit around this grandma who only ate raw onions and guarded a bridge. The protagonist had to bring her onions. Naturally I was the onion grandma. The teacher saw and wanted to include my skit in the final play but I was too afraid, so I refused. I wish I had done it though. I wish I had lived my dream of being an onion grandma, at least for a few moments. This will probably get buried but my sophomore year of college I came back to my hometown for a year hiatus, lowest weight and best shape of my life, and deliberately shot down the hottest girl in my neighborhood when she offered me head. Didn't realize what she was offering till a whole year later back in school. I went to look at apartments in a city pretty far from my hometown. A girl I knew from high school, that I had a crush on back then, had an apartment in said city, and offered me the chance to stay with her for the weekend while I looked. We caught up and talked about a lot of things. It was really nice. She wore a beautiful dress the day that we got to spend all day together. When that night ended, I started to get ready for bed. She asked me, "Are you sure you want to sleep on the couch?" I said yeah, it's fine. It took me several years to realize what she really meant, and several more years to put our earlier conversation about hookups into perspective as well. But I did promise myself I wouldn't hook up with her if I was presented the chance to. She really needed a friend at the time, and I didn't want to screw that up. Had I realized what was going on, I may have chosen to ignore that promise. I hope your last paragraph makes you feel better, because, face it, she wanted to frick you. When I was about 13F my parents forced me into group therapy. This was about 50 years ago. I remember the counselor repeatedly questioning a group member and I wanted to tell her to stop. Still wish I had followed my gut feeling which told me this approach was wrong. Not moving out of Iowa when I first married 25 years ago. We almost did but choose to stay. Now we desperately want to leave and can't. For at least 6 or 7 years when the age can retire. Stupid, but still a regret. I went to college's Southwest and Central PA. I never went to Groundhog Day in Punxsutawney. It's one of those college things I really wish I did that I would never want to do as an adult. Asking this girl out. I liked her for a while but she moved away. We slowly lost contact. Flash forward to about 3 years since she moved away. I called her and told her my feelings just to find out she liked me too. When I graduated college I applied for a temp job at the Google data center in Georgia. I went through 2 rounds of interviews and then they asked me to come into the data center for an in-person interview. They gave me all the details of job including pay, and it was just not enough to relocate to GA. Plus I was married at the time, so declined. To this day I wonder what would have happened if I took the job. That type of experience on a resume would have been amazing. It was not through a temp or contracting agency. The job was through Google itself. 1. Missed out on the Forbes ceremony being held in a different country due to issues with my then fiance. Never ended up marrying him but he cost me the opportunity to live an experience that I earned for myself for the first time in my life. 2. Let ethical issues with co-founder ruin the startup I had. 3. Didn't push my family enough to let me leave when I got accepted in one of my dream universities with an 80% scholarship. 4. Found my soulmate but let my mental health get in the way of the relationship. Don't know if I'll ever get him back. Due to my daughter's spina bifida, she was in a wheelchair quite a bit as a younger child. She learned to walk independently around age 5. We were at a family event and my nephew came up and pushed her chair without warning. My husband got very angry and scolded him on the spot. To this day I wish I would have pulled both my nephew and daughter aside and taught him the proper way to play with my daughter in her chair. She would have enjoyed being pushed around the gym by her cousin after giving him her consent to drive her chair. Giving a kiss to my father before he died. I had the chance to do it, but I was a stupid teenager who was in a hurry to see her friends, and so I left the house without kissing him, even though my mother told me to do it, and that night he died. I had an opportunity to go to a school that specialized in my area of interest. I can't say I regret it, but I am curious to how different things would be now. A really close friend I liked told me they liked me too and asked me out. I was nervous what my parents would think, so I said no. We haven't talked in a month and I don't see us talking again anytime soon. My aunt and uncle surprised me at my high school graduation with money to go to community college. I had no warning about this and assumed I wasn't going to college, and had no idea what to major in. Ended up spending the money to pay off my first husband's credit card debt. Could have done the college experience. Instead I ended up paying for my bachelor's and got that degree at 37. 42 now and just started a master's degree. Taking a government job in immigration in 2019. Finding out more about it, it would have been ideal for me. One of the few places where I could feel like I'm good at what I'm doing. Had I accepted, it would have saved me a lot of pain and anxiety in the days since then hunting for a job that doesn't make me sad and miserable all the time. Here's hoping they have openings again soon, but I'm not getting my hopes up. Never give up on a job you know will make you happy. Good luck. Rejecting a girl. I feel extremely bad because the girl helped me in a lot of situations and we passed through a lot together. I rejected her because I was in love with another girl, but I ended crapping in both possible relations, this one because of the rejection and the other one, well, that's a whole other story. When I was in college, I had the chance to study abroad for a semester. However, I chose not to go because I was scared of not doing well in classes in a new country and losing my academic scholarship, worried about being alone and away from my family, and concerned about my health if any of my existing health conditions flare up. I occasionally still wonder what happened if I did go, and what experiences would I have had. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.